start doing some geometrical problem solving? In the next 3 videos, we are going to discover 9 different circle theorems. I'm a really big fan of them. They're just like solving little logic puzzles. Before we get started, you need to know what these words all mean. If you aren't sure, then watch this video first. So in this video, we're going to look at the first 4 circle theorems that are all inside the circle. And then in part 2 and part 3, there'll be lots of tangents and chords involved. So let's get going. Here's the first one. What's the connection between the 2 angles? Hopefully, you can see that the angle at the centre is double the angle at the circumference. That's the first theorem. Sometimes this theorem can be a little disguised. See what happens when I move point B around. So if you see this sort of setup, remember that the angle at the centre is double the angle at the circumference, even if it doesn't have the normal arrowhead shape. So here's theorem 2. We have a semicircle. What do you notice about the angle? The angle in a semicircle is always 90 degrees, and that's theorem 2. Just make sure though that it really is a diameter, so it needs to cross through the centre. By the way, the number doesn't actually matter. Theorem 2 isn't necessarily the semicircle theorem, it's just the order that we're discovering them in this video. So here's the next one. What do you notice about the angles? We describe this one as angles in the same segment are equal. So these angles are in the major segment. But we can also describe this theorem as angles subtended by the same arc are equal. You may like to remember it as a bow tie shape, but you do need to use the key words segment or subtended by the same arc. You choose which one you think is easier to remember. So with 3 theorems down, here's the last one for part 1. What type of shape is it and what do you notice about the angles? It's got 4 sides, so it must be a quadrilateral. But because it's inside a circle and all 4 corners or vertices are touching the circumference, we call it a cyclic quadrilateral. I'm sure you all spotted that the opposite angles add up to 180 degrees. So that's our 4th theorem. And the important part to remember is that all 4 sides must be touching the circumference for it to be a cyclic quadrilateral. So now here's the test. Can you remember all 4 theorems? Pause the video, jot them down and click play when you're ready to check. Make sure you use the correct terminology. Did you get them all? Check you use the correct terminology. So here are 3 questions for you to do using your new circle theorem knowledge. Pause the video, find the angles and click play when you're ready to check your answers. How did you get on? So, there we have the first 4 circle theorems. Watch part 2 and part 3 to discover 5 more, which involve tangents and chords and take us outside of the circle. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions. Why not check out our FewSchool app as well? Until next time.